Uncle J with a triumphant comeback. Morris alone. But tonight...
What up, though, Pride Nation? Welcome back to another debate with Luke G. We are about to have us some good old time. As you can see, it is time to rumble, debate time. I got challenged today, people. And by a subscriber, and I have said it before, many times before, that if for some reason you want to come on this show and have a good old conversation, I am open to it. I have no problem with you disagreeing with me, none whatsoever. And so, with that being said, we're gonna get this thing started. Let's first introduce our guest who came on to rock with us. As cool as it gets. What's going on, man?
Man, what's going on, Luke G? I appreciate you having me on, dog.
No, man. Listen, I thank you for coming on. Okay, now. He said, "Why you look like Luke Cage?" Listen, all right. So listen, I just want to be clear, people, on what we're debating here, because I was on Twitter and I posted a pic that had Kirk Cousins in comparisons to Matthew Stafford, and as good as it gets, comment on it. Well, I ain't gonna say he commented. He went full fledged, like he was in rare form. And so I said, well, listen, let's have a friendly debate, and let's talk about it. So what we're gonna do is this: we're gonna do this debate. We'll let y'all decide the winner, okay? And we'll both take turns giving our side, and then after we give our side, we'll toss it over to y'all to tell us who y'all think won, okay? So you want to kind of give a little bit more background on this, as cool as it gets?
Yeah, of course. And first, before we get started, I want to shout out all of the other Detroit Lions YouTubers and just Twitter people and podcasts people who I listen to. What is that? Motor City Sports Talk. I listen to him a lot. Everything King. I listen to him. Whenever he can get a video out. Definitely Dose of Dion. I like that kid a lot. He a real positive kid. And of course, I'm always listening to this show as well. But yeah, most definitely. So like you said, pretty much we was on Twitter and this been going around a lot on Twitter the last couple of weeks, especially during quarantine. Who's the better quarterback, Kirk Cousins or Matthew Stafford? And I'm in favor of, and I am a Detroit Lion fan, but I'm just in favor of Kirk Cousins being a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford is. And I'm not saying either one of them are legendary quarterbacks, but if I had to choose, I definitely would go with Kirk Cousins before I would go with Stafford.
Okay. Now, people, you have heard his side of it. All right. And here's where y'all got to excuse my phone. Here is where we're going to get into this. All right. Writerwrong says, you don't listen to me. Don't worry about it, Writer. He on his way. Trust me. Trust me. As much as, hey, I'm going to promote you and anybody else doing anything that I respect videos as much as possible. So he on the way. Trust me. All right. So here go the topic for today, people. This is the topic that he wanted to debate. This is where he wanted to talk about. Stafford should have won a playoff game by now. Right? This is what he wanted to debate, people. So we're going to leave that up there, okay? Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you your chance to go first, okay? So you can make your case. And when you're done, I'll rebuttal, okay?
Okay, sound cool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, he is ready to rock and roll. It is the first part of the debate. As cool as it gets, is going to make his claim right now. Go for it.
All right. So the first point I want to point out, as far as Stafford should have won a playoff game by now. Let's talk about the seasons first. Let's go into the seasons first that they went to the playoffs. So which was 2011. What is that? 2014. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it was 2016 that they went to the playoffs.
So you got 2011. You got
2014.
2014 and 2016 is correct.
Correct. Okay. So now the biggest now it's all type of I hear on Twitter because I'm on Twitter every day. So I see all type of Stafford excuses every day, all day. So the biggest one is, well, they have no run game. And I love that one because then you'll also hear, well, Stafford and Mahomes are basically the same players. Mahomes is the same player. He just gets more praise because he gets better. He gets more televised games and all that crap. So the thing is this: if you take a look, Mahomes won the playoff. They won the Super Bowl this year, and so they had the 22 ranked run game, and actually Detroit Lions this year had the 23rd ranked run game. So the thing is, I don't believe that Patrick Mahomes' arm is any stronger than Matthew Stafford's is. The only difference there is Matthew Stafford is, to me, he's not as accurate as Patrick Mahomes is. Now, he had the 16th ranked O-line this year. He had the 22 ranked run game. And I believe the highest, let's look if I can see here. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to look and see real quick.
Listen, I'm giving you all the rope you need.
Yeah. I'm trying
all the rope you need. Take your time, brother.
Yeah,
I want you to get all of the rope that you need for this thing right here.
Yeah, let me I want to see exactly how many rushing yards that they had, because I just want to be exact. I don't want to be on here saying nothing that ain't true.
Now, keep in mind, people, we are on what as cool as it gets. He wanted to have this debate that Stafford should have won a playoff game by now. He's in the midst of getting all of his stuff together to make this point. Now, we finna have all types of fun with this, and I want to keep this in the reality that it should be. This is the best thing about sports because we can have these kind of conversations, and at the end of it, me and him gonna still be all love. It's gonna be still good. It's just having a good conversation about some football. I'm definitely finna have some fun with this though. Just let me know when you find your stuff now.
Okay,
let me know.
I got you. I want to get the exact yardage.
Oh, you want the exact yard? You
yeah,
may help you?
there.
I help your debate.
Yeah. Where's do you have it? Do you have
what do you want to know? What is it that you're trying to find out?
The top number. Who was the leading rusher on the Kansas City Chiefs in 2019, and what was his yardage?
So the leading rusher on Kansas City in 2019 more likely was Damian Williams.
And I know he had somewhere around the range of, it was like 298 yards, or it was like 400 yards or something like that. How many yards did he have this year rushing?
See, how many yards rushing did Damian Lillard have? Let me see. Let me go and take a look. See, I got to go and look now. I want to help you with your debate. I want you to have the fair. I want you to have the fair go around. Damian Lillard had. Let me see. He had 498 yards rushing, and he started 6 games.
So now I got a quote. I mean, not a quote, but I got a stat here from 2014. Now, Joyke Bell, he had 860 rushing yards in 2014. Stafford and Mahomes got the same arm strength. If not, Stafford probably got a little bit of an edge on him as far as arm strength. So my question is, if one quarterback can win without a luxurious run game, why can't Stafford? And let me mind you, in 2014, Stafford had a better defense than Mahomes did.
Okay, so you want me to respond to that?
Yeah. I'm ready I'm ready for the response.
All right, so if y'all listen to him, his whole argument is based around the concept of Patrick Mahomes. There's 2 things I'm going to challenge him to do. One, in this debate, I don't want to hear nothing about quarterback win-loss stats. That is for those fantasy football people. That is not a quarterback stat. That's the first thing I want to point out. But let me break it down for the most simplest point. Let's go all the way back to what he said about Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes winning without a rush in the game. Now, stay with me, people. Patrick Mahomes in his first playoff game, not his second, not his third, his very first playoff game. Guess what they did in that game? Just ask me. Go ahead, ask me. As good as it gets. Ask me.
What they do, Luke G?
Okay, here's what they did. They won literally. They literally won the game, and they ran the ball 33 times for 180 yards and 4 touchdowns. I'm going to say that again to you. 180 yards on 33 attempts and 4 touchdowns. Now, he did throw the ball quite a bit. He threw the ball 41 times for 278 yards. See, this is what happened when people pull out hard facts. We're going to get to the point of this now. Now, the team that they end up beating at that game, okay, which was the Colts, they beat them 31-13. That go the first part of this. And the Colts at that time only rushed 14 times for 87 yards. Now, y'all may be saying to yourself, what does this got to do with anything? I'm finna show you something. When we go on to the very next game that they had after that in 2018, this would be Patrick Mahomes' second playoff game. And that playoff game, they lost to the New England Patriots. Hey, as good as it gets, watch this. The Kansas City Chiefs ran the ball 12 times for 41 yards and a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 31 times for 295 and 3 touchdowns. Watch this. New England ran the ball 48 times for 176 yards and 4 touchdowns. So the one time he lost in the playoffs, the other team outran them. It's funny how we talk about that, because earlier you said that you don't need this elaborate rushing attack to win. But see, that's not true. Let me go ahead and help.
Go ahead.
Let me go ahead and help you a little bit more. Let's go back to just this past playoffs. Now, in this past playoff, they went against the Houston Texans. They then turned around and went against the Tennessee Titans, and then they won Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. So let's see what happened in those games. It's funny how this thing works. Kansas City, okay, in their first game, their first playoff game of 2019 on their playoff run against the Houston Texans, won 51-31. That's good stuff, right? And Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 35 times for 321, 5 touchdowns. Beautiful stuff. But they also ran the ball 21 times for 118 yards and 2 touchdowns. You want to know what Houston ran the ball for? 21 yards and 21 attempts for 94 yards. So again, in the games where he's winning, they're able to run the ball. It's setting up everything else and making life so much easier. And the game that they had after that, that would be the AFC Championship game. That was the game that, we thought it was going to get, disastrous for them. They went against Tennessee. They won 35-24. Okay. In that game, they ran the ball 27 times for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tennessee ran it 23 times for 85 yards and a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes threw the ball for 35 times for 294 yards and 3 touchdowns. All beautiful. But yet, the run game that they had deployed is what got those wins. So now let's go back and talk about Stafford, because I want to make sure I don't miss no parts with this, okay? In the case of Matthew Stafford, I believe you brought up his 2014 game. That's correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. So he brought up 2014. Now, if y'all don't know, 2014 is when they went against the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys, we know what happened in that game. It was a few untimely, calls or questionable calls that should have happened, but it didn't happen. So let me stay away from that and just focus on the reality of it. In that game, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Detroit Lions with a little bit of help, 24-20. But here's the thing. Detroit pretty much had that game in control. And what do you know? 22 attempts for 90 yards and a touchdown versus 21 attempts for 73 yards. So what is my point is? My point is when you look at a run game, don't just look at the regular season, because the teams going to the championships are running their way to it. That's what they're doing. So when you have them doing that, that's where you start to look at it. Now, take this back to the other step of it. when we talk about these numbers and how they doing it, we can look at each individual part to show you why the Lions should not have won it. But rather than me keep going, I'll give you a chance to rebuttal that. You there? Uh-oh, where'd he go? You there? Uh-oh, ladies and gentlemen, don't listen. I think we may listen. As good as as cool as it get. Where you at, bro? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, good people. Oh my God. Let me see. Yo, can you hear me? Oh, what's going on? Oh man, see. So listen, I'll answer this question. Jack Frost says, what was Stafford's stats in that Dallas game? Nice way to deflect, Luke. Okay, here we go. Dallas game, Matthew Stafford he threw the ball 42 times for 323 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. So again, he's still doing it. He's still doing it. He's still doing the same thing that Patrick Mahomes is doing. Let's see if this is it. Let's see if we got him.
Luke,
yo. Yep. All right.
Okay. Yeah. So now you said you equate more of a quarterback wins or team wins more to the coach than you do the quarterback. Is that right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It has to go to a coach because like nobody is going to say that Drew Brees lost the game and give him a loss for that fairly, knowing that the referees blew it, or that a kicker missed an easy field goal. That's just trash.
So basically, what you're saying is losses go more towards the coach than it does the quarterback.
Hands down. If you measure a quarterback by wins and losses, what do you measure the head coach by?
Now that's correct. I'm not saying that coaches or quarterbacks shouldn't take blame or receive glory for wins, but I definitely think quarterback can win you a game more than a coach can coach your game, because when you're actually a player and you play in a game, you're a quarterback, especially you're the most important, you're the leader of a team, you have to execute. So a coach can drill into your head all day, hey, this is the play, this is how you want to do this is how you want your stance to be. But the player ultimately is like, let's take a player like Jared Davis. Jared Davis, I'm sure the coaches get him in practice after every practice and say, listen, this is how you cover. This is what you want to do when you get close to a quarterback. This is what you want to do when you get close to an offender. But it just hasn't registered yet because that's his lack of execution. So, and they do actually measure the quarterbacks like that, because when you're in college, before you come out, they say how many wins has he led his team to? You're not going to get a quarterback that's then had 3 wins come out in the top 5 in the NFL draft. And they do the same thing for Hall of Fame quarterbacks. They say, well, how many wins has he led his team to? And so if it's good enough, if quarterback wins is good enough in that regard, then it should be also good enough in the regard for debating purposes. Now, you said, well, we're talking about the 2014 playoff game, right?
Go ahead. Yep. 2014, the one you brought up.
Now, and I think I watched this game. I think the beginning of quarantine. And we didn't score anytime. What was it? After the third quarter, we didn't score?
I'm listening.
Yeah. So I believe we didn't. I'm not sure if it's the second half we didn't score, period, or was it anytime after the third quarter. However, the thing is this: if you on the Detroit Lions, you Matthew Stafford, I want you to try to remember. You probably haven't watched the game in a minute, but I want you to try to remember that play when we got the what was it? We got the flag. We didn't get the flag for the pass interference. You can remember that play a little bit?
Oh, I remember that game very well.
Yeah. Now, would you say that was a good pass?
The pass that he made to the tight end?
Yeah.
Yes. You you put the ball up high so your guy can go and get it. Yes. I mean, Brendan Pettigrew's what, 6'7"?
6. I think he was 6'6".
I mean, so 6'6". Where am I against a linebacker who's 6'2"? Where else am I supposed to put it if not high?
I just remember when I was watching the game, hoping that of course I was hoping that he was gonna catch it, but I remember the announcer saying, "Yeah, that was a terrible thrown ball." And I remember even after the game, the next day they were talking about the game. They also said, "Yeah, it was a terrible thrown ball." Now that's not to say that it wasn't pass interference because it definitely was, but two wrongs don't make a right. And if I recall, we also got the ball back another time after that. We had a whole nother, what was it, 2 minutes and 50 seconds, 3 minutes almost in the fourth quarter with the ball back. And what did Stafford do?
Oh,
we went three. Did we go 3 and out?
Go ahead. Tell me. Listen, tell me. State your case. I'm with you. State your case. I just want to hear your case.
Yeah. So, I mean, we went 3 and out. And so the thing is, I'm not saying Stafford is a terrible quarterback. I'm just saying I don't think you can win with him. I don't think you can win with him. Definitely not in Detroit. And as far as the fans that put him in such a high regard, it's kind of like, it's almost insulting. It's kind of like, because I'm not a stat guy. So you can have 100 points in the game and still lose. So what did the stats do for you? Stafford, let's look at the game when we played against the Chiefs this year. Stafford had great stats. What did three touchdowns, 300 something plus yards, but we lose the game still. You still lose to a quarterback that has 0 touchdowns. I'm just not a stat guy. So people will say that Stafford is a good quarterback based on his stats. But when I'm watching the game, I just see a lot of bad decision making. And I mean, I know he's a gunslinger, but then you have to ask yourself, when's the last time a gunslinger, a true gunslinger, really won a Super Bowl?
Okay, so again, the debate was Stafford should have won a playoff game by now.
Most definitely.
Okay, and so you're all over the place. Let me get it back into a central point of what the debate is, which is he should have won it. The first thing you bring up is the 2014 season. Okay, when you bring up the 2014 season, you want to disregard the flags. I threw all that stuff out the door, but the NFL even came out afterwards and apologized for not calling a holding penalty. That's one. 2, you're wrong. They didn't score a touchdown in the fourth quarter. They scored in every quarter but the fourth. And here's the thing: since when did Stafford start playing defense and have to start stopping teams from scoring? The defense gave up 10 points in the fourth. So if you go back and look at the play calling, which brings me to my next point of, if we're going to have this conversation, tell me when was the last time, or since he should have won a playoff game. Even my son want to get in on this. Since he wanted to won a playoff game, tell me this: you comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, right? That was your starting comparisons, right?
Yeah, I compared him to Patrick.
Okay, who is Patrick Mahomes' head coach?
I'm not going. Okay, this is the thing.
No. Wait. No. Don't go away from the question. Who is Patrick Mahomes' head coach? Who's the head coach?
You got Andy Reid.
Okay, now watch this. And Matthew Stafford's entire time being on the Detroit Lions, he has had one head coach with NFL experience. He's had way more offensive coordinators than Patrick Mahomes has went through. He has never had a legitimate running back that anybody was even worried about having. And on top of that, I don't even need stats to prove this. I just simply got to show you the facts. When Patrick Mahomes came in, he got to sit and learn. Who was the person that Stafford got to sit and learn behind? Since he supposed to won a playoff game.
I'm glad you said that.
Oh, okay. Let's take it a step further. Hold on.
Yeah,
let's go through and look at this part of it. Every person in looking at Patrick Mahomes, every game that they won in the playoffs, they outran the other team. And every game that they lost, they did not outrun the other team. So if Stafford in every game that he had did not outrun the other team, why are we trying to hold him to a different standard? Let's go to that game in 2016 and get the Seattle Seahawks where he had a broken finger on his throwing hand. Let's talk about that game, right? Let's talk about that game for a second. let me ask you this question. How many times you think Stafford threw the ball in that game with a broken finger on his throwing hand? How many times?
At least I say at least 40, probably 45.
So you do know. Okay. How many times you think they ran the ball that game?
Probably rushed it maybe 20 times.
Let's try 15 for 49 yards. Let's try that. So you made a quarterback with a broken hand, throw the ball 40-something times, and you ran it 15. Seattle ran the ball 38 times for 177 yards. Our guy out there with a broken hand, and you still couldn't run the ball to get him no relief. I'm just asking the question. So right now, Patrick Mahomes has had the better head coach than Matthew Stafford. He has had the better supporting cast than Matthew Stafford. I'm asking you, when was he supposed to win this playoff game?
Is my turn yet?
Yeah, go ahead. You up?
All right. So you said that you asked me the question of when Matthew Stafford came into the league in what was that 2009, 2008, who he was supposed or who did he have to learn after?
Yeah,
so that's
John Kitna. Go ahead.
Right. So that's right. He didn't have anybody to learn after, but you would think after 11 years. I mean, and I just want you to think about this in perspective. I mean, if you go somewhere, if you start a new job, right, brand new, you never went to the company, never heard of the company before, you start in a brand new craft, you start in a brand new job, you're just learning it. Do you think after 11 years you would be able to grasp it? You think so? You had all the time
I don't
in the world.
because listen, how long did it take John Elway to get his first Super Bowl and some of the other people that you have to have the coaching staff and supporting staff to help. And when you look at these other people who have had success, not one of these quarterbacks you're naming came into a team that was 0-16.
Hey, so you said Stafford didn't have coaching. Now, if I can remember, if I can go back to that 2014 season, the coordinator originally was Joe Lombardi, right?
Okay.
Yep, Joe Lombardi, who it came from the Saints, and they were supposed to be implementing the same system that Drew Brees ran, and because Jim Caldwell was brought in to help limit Stafford's interceptions, and so that's when they came in and they said instead of letting Stafford sling it around the field 50 times a game, we're gonna try to limit it to short, quick passes. And I also remember that season that the offense struggled a lot because Joe Lombardi, once he got fired, of course, he said we had to literally simplify. I couldn't simplify the playbook anymore. Stafford couldn't read the defenses like Brees could. He couldn't simplify the playbook anymore. He said the whole season we were getting frustrated because we couldn't put any more on his plate. And if I remember, it came a time. It was the 2014 playoff game where I think we was like 3-1, or we was 4-1, and we didn't go for it. Why do you think that's so?
Coaching. The answer is always going to be simple. Coaching. Did you think that's going to be because of the player? You think I care what Joe Lombardi is going to say? Joe Lombardi has not even gotten another offensive coordinator job.
Most people when they leave Detroit, who when they leave Detroit is getting offers to come in. Anybody when they leave Detroit is not getting offers, no matter if they was good, no matter if they was bad or terrible. Nobody's getting offers until years later when they leave Detroit.
Listen, what you just said was Joe Lombardi said he couldn't simplify the playbook no further because he couldn't get it like Drew Brees. Anybody who watched the Saints know that Joe Lombardi does not, under no circumstances, make play calls for no damn Drew Brees. That is all Sean Payton. Joe Lombardi, not even the OC. He is like the assistant head coach. They trying to still teach him how to be somebody. Like this is not even a real debate. Joe Lombardi is every year since Joe Lombardi has left Detroit. When has his name came up in a head coaching candidacy? It hasn't. And all I'm pointing out to you is he can say whatever he wants, but that's called politics. He's trying to get himself another job. He ain't done nothing. To sit there and say that Matthew Stafford, he couldn't simplify it no more, it goes away from the truth. He tried to say, oh, we was going to throw the ball short for Matthew Stafford, so that way Matthew Stafford didn't have to do this and this and that. But when you go through and you look at that year, Stafford was still in the top 5 in terms of throwing the ball over 20 yards or more. So how short is he thinking? I mean, was his definition of short meaning, I don't know, say 40 yards? I mean, what is his definition of short? And if you look at that 2014 season, that 2014 season, Stafford went 4,200 yards. Like, I don't understand how much more simpler can it be. Like,
he went 4,200 yards, but what did he went 4,200 yards, but what did he do? They trailed in the defense carried him the whole season. Without not Patrick Sue, but without Ndamukong Suh, there would have been no playoff. The offense that year was trash. If you really watch the games, the offense sucked. What was it? Golden Tate, Calvin Johnson. The offense was trash. The defense carried the season. They carried the whole team that season. If it was no Ndamukong Suh, there would be no playoffs in 2014.
You know what I love? I love how you naming all these other things, but not once in your whole debate have you said anything about our rushing attack. Have you said anything about our coaching? Not once in your whole debate have you brought up anything. You want to tell me about Ndamukong Suh, and I'm telling you that literally Stafford, because see, Ndamukong Suh is on defense. They stop the ball. But I'm going to show you how you really nail it all down to one thing. Walk with me for a moment, okay? What is a quarterback supposed to do?
Throw the ball and score a touchdown.
Throw the ball and score a touchdown. Okay, so in other words, the essence of a quarterback's job is to give the ball to somebody else, right?
That's true.
So when they have a running attack, he turns around, he hands the ball to the running back, correct?
That's true.
When he throws the ball, he's throwing it to somebody else, correct?
That's true.
Which means that he has to have somebody else to help him and assist him in doing his own job, correct?
Correct.
Who calls the plays? Is it the quarterback or the coach?
The coach.
So the quarterback don't even call his own plays. Is not able to score without handing the ball off to somebody else. My question to you is then how is it all his fault when you can't even tell me he can turn around and hand it off, which is one part of his arsenal? So if all he has to do is keep throwing the ball, that makes him one-dimensional, right?
So, is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
So let's not act like Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate weren't 2 top 10 receivers with over 100 yards. I mean, over 1,000 yards that season. And let's not also act like Calvin Johnson had he went and got drafted to a competent organization, is probably not looked at as the greatest wide receiver of all time. And it's also not, let's not dumb it down and try to make it so Jim Caldwell is not a bad coach. Jim Caldwell was not a bad head coach, and without Jim Caldwell, Stafford would have never been the quarterback who he was. So as far as the coaching in that season, coaching wasn't bad because Jim Caldwell was a good coach. The system, it was a proven system that is worked somewhere else. So you can also say that it was a proven system. Now, because Stafford couldn't execute it, is that the coach's fault that he couldn't execute? Is it the coach's fault if a player can't? It's just like if I go to school and I'm learning something and somebody's teaching me something, they're teaching it to me the right way. They're teaching it to me exactly how I'm supposed to learn it. If I can't learn it, if I can't execute it, if I keep failing the test, is it my fault or is it their fault?
So your assumption is that they're failing the test, that he's failing the test?
Well, I mean, it's not an assumption at this point. If you look at the 2014 season, they went home, playoff winless. So it's not an assumption.
Okay.
And it's not an assumption. And you just go off of what the coach said. Like he said, I could not simplify the playbook anymore.
Okay.
The plays that we were running could not be simplified any longer.
Okay. All right. Stay with me.
I'm with you, man.
Stay with me. 2011. What was the Detroit Lions rushing ranked?
What was it? 16, 15?
Are you sure?
Let me look it up. Let's
You
look it up
sure?
real quick.
I want you to be aware of what you're saying. I want you to have every piece of it so you can be aware of what you're saying. Now let's
You
get
said
that
2011 or 2014?
20, whatever year you want. What year you want to give me? What year? Any year you want, give it to me. I'm here for you. Whatever year you want, you tell me the year that you tell this the really thing. You want to tell me the year that he was supposed to win a playoff game. If your argument is 2014, okay, all right, and I'm telling you, fine. You want to tell me 2014, the year he should have won a playoff game, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah, most definitely 2014.
Okay. So my question to you is, what was his rushing in 2014?
So let's see here. He had
I want you to be aware of this. See, this is the problem with most people. They say things, but they don't never do the research to know that what happens. Football is a team sport. It has never been a time where one person just did it all. Michael Vick can run crazy and go nuts. Just this past year, the Baltimore Ravens got Lamar Jackson. He ran crazy, passed crazy, went nuts. They lost a playoff game. I don't understand why we don't get this concept. You have to be able to run the ball from November all the way through February if you're going to win. And the problem is that most people who hate on Matthew Stafford hate on him because they seem to think that we can get somebody better. Like we seem to thought that by moving on from Jim Caldwell, it couldn't get no worse. But we was wrong in that regard. The same thing we was wrong in when everybody kept saying, oh, get Larry Brown up out of here from Detroit. Well, good luck with that. We ain't did nothing since. And then they wanted get Jim Leland up out of here with the Detroit Tigers. How the Tigers look. Every time we do what the fans say, we suck, and then the fans want to get down on it. I want you to tell me in 2014, what was his rushing rank?
He had 1,422 yards.
No. Listen. I'm not asking yards. What was he ranked? What was the ranking? The team's ranking in rushing in 2014.
You don't have it. You don't show it on
Uh,
here.
listen, Google is the best thing you can have in this world. I just want you to be aware of what we talking about here. We ain't talking about nothing else. If you're going to tell me that this is all Matthew Stafford's fault, then I'm going to show you.
It's all his fault.
I'm just going to show you though.
It doesn't take. If you can't do something in 11 years, you just can't do it, man. I'm sorry. Like if you can't do it in 11 years, you just can't do it. I mean, I've watched. I mean, we didn't watch how many organizations turn over, go back and forth. We didn't just watch the Kansas City Chiefs get rid of a pretty good quarterback and Alex Smith and draft a guy who they said, wow, we got a good quarterback right now, but I believe we can win more with this guy. We've seen it before. We've seen quarterbacks in the league.
He lost in the game.
It's quarterbacks.
He lost in the game with no rushing.
It's quarterbacks in the league right now that have came out that are better than. I mean, it's at least 5 good quarterbacks that came out since Stafford was drafted that are better than him.
Okay.
So the thing is, listen. You said, well,
I see you all over the place again. Let me get you back on track.
No, because you had wait, because you had said,
what's the ranking?
Well, no, I just want to clear this up because you had said something about Detroit Lions fans wanting to get rid of people and then we always worse. The thing is, how much worse can you get? How can the Detroit Lions never go? Stafford's average season ranking is 7-9. How could the Detroit Lions never go 7-9 again without Matthew Stafford? If they don't have Matthew Stafford throwing the ball, they'll never go 7-9 again. The thing is, you're at the worst spot now. You're at the worst spot of not winning right now. So the thing is, why not try something different? You got all kind of great quarterbacks coming out.
But the difference ain't the quarterback, man.
It's not the quarterback.
As cool as it gets, it's not the quarterback though. Listen, you have to admit, and to get back to my question, because I see you having a hard time finding it. They were ranked 28th in rushing as a team. 28th in rushing out of 32. And we talking about the quarterback. You want to know what they were ranked in passing? Oh, God. You want to know if they were ranked in passing?
What were they ranked in passing?
They were ranked 3rd. He literally was the offense. He had to pass the ball.
He was the offense?
He and the receivers that he had to throw the ball to was the offense. They had no rushing attack.
And he had he had one of the greatest too, didn't he? Now, also, let me tell you this. Now, you do have quarterbacks who open up things on the offense. Like you have a guy like Russell Wilson who, as long as he's on the field, he's feared no matter what he does because he opens up everything on the field.
Oh, I love this one. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead. Keep
yeah.
going with this. You finna cut your stuff up.
Russell Wilson opens up everything on the field. He's a feared quarterback. So defenses are always nobody's keying in on Stafford. Nobody's coming in Detroit saying, "Oh man, we got to go up against Matthew Stafford. He sure is going to kill us with his legs." No, Stafford's not even mobile. So what I'm saying is Stafford just does. He's one dimensional as a quarterback. Stafford hasn't even taken time to. I watched something. It was on ESPN, and they were saying how Stafford since 2009 he still hasn't tuned up his footwork. If you go back to 2019 and watch all those games, you'll watch Stafford tripping over himself because his footwork sucks. He hasn't taken time to get better as a quarterback. You remember the year, what was it, 2014, that they asked him, they said, go to a quarterback coach. He went to the quarterback guru, came back 2015, had a good season, quit it. And it hasn't amounted to anything since.
Okay, all right. Listen, we finna turn it over to the people in a minute, but let me just put this out there. I'm glad you brought up Russell Wilson because let me ask you a question. What has Russell Wilson done since Beast Mode left?
He's won a playoff game.
Let me ask you a question. What has he done since he left?
He's won a playoff game.
And when he won the playoff game, did they run their way to it or did they pass their way to it?
That's something that the Google is an incredible thing.
It is. I've already Googled it. Trust me.
So
they ran their way through it. They ran their way through it.
Now let me ask you also this: what was Russell Wilson's rushing yards in that game?
Are you really want to know what his rushing yards were compared to everybody else?
I'm serious. What was his rushing? What was
64?
And then who was the top rush? Who had the top rushing yards on the team
that year?
Yeah, no, that I'm saying that you talking about the playoff game that they won.
You talking about you? Right, listen, because you trying to get me off track. I'm trying to figure out what you saying.
I'm saying because the question was this: what has Russell Wilson done since Beast Mode left? And I say he's won at least a playoff game.
Right. And now I'm asking you that how did they win it? Because it wasn't throwing, it was running.
And Russell Wilson also is a dual threat quarterback.
He wasn't running like that, bro. He turned around in that playoff game. He turned around and handed the ball off to 3 different running backs. What are you talking about?
But what were their yards? What was their yardage?
Their yardage was exactly what I expected to be. It was higher in terms of them out rushing the other team to get the win.
So let's see that.
Teams are not winning games. Teams are not winning games that are one dimensional. When you get to the playoffs, and that's all we're talking about. When you get to the playoffs, there is no such thing as being one dimensional and winning. Nobody is winning in the playoffs being one dimensional. Stay with me. The same thing happened to the Tennessee Titans this year. The Tennessee Titans kept running. And when they got to another team who was like, oh, we're going to just kill your run. You're going to have to beat us with the pass. It didn't happen for them. And I'm showing you that and showing you and saying, look, even in the game against Kansas City, because Kansas City did not say, let me stop Ryan Tannehill. What Kansas City said is, let me stop this one dimension that they have, and they're done in the water. And they were. As soon as Kansas City shut down the Russian attack, they were done. They were done in the water. I'm glad
you brought up the Tennessee Titans because you said, and it's true, in the playoffs, you can't win a Super Bowl just being a one-dimensional team. But the Tennessee Titans, which in my opinion is kind of like a one-dimensional team because I'm not really a big favor of Ryan Tannehill, but they did win at least one playoff game. And then the argument here is Stafford should have won at least one playoff game.
If he had a rushing attack.
If he had a rushing attack. But so this is the thing here. If you can win a playoff game with just a complete rushing attack, can you not win it with a passing attack and possibly the greatest wide receiver of all time? I mean, let's honestly think about it. If you can win a playoff game with just a rushing attack, can you not win it with the greatest wide receiver of all time, one of the best guys with the strongest arm? Can it not happen at least one time in 11 years?
Not if you don't have coaching. No.
So as far as if the coaching is bad, what bad plays did they call? What bad
Oh,
players
now
did Jim
that right there,
Caldwell?
that right there's a whole different other debate. You don't want to get me started on
Exactly.
that.
So we can't say that the coaching was bad because
What
we
do you
don't know
mean?
then.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Wait,
Because so
wait a minute.
are you
Listen.
saying
You got one coach.
Jim
Hold on. Wait.
Caldwell was a bad coach?
Hold on. Let's go through and look at this.
Let's go through and look at
Let's
it.
go through and look at this. Let's go back and look at this. All right, because I
Are
see
you
what you're
saying
trying to
because
do. I see what you're
you
trying to
saying
do.
that Jim Caldwell is a bad coach, and so I'm saying if the coaching is bad, how did they even get? If the coaching is bad, the offense wasn't good that year. So if the coaching was that bad, how did they even get to the playoffs? Is what I'm saying. Jim,
Because
don't.
they beat a bunch of mediocre teams, and Stafford had 8 comebacks in those games. What are you talking about?
So he had Stafford had 8. Stafford, you said say that one more time. You said Stafford had 8 comebacks, correct?
Correct.
So that's to me. If quarterback wins is not a stat, fourth quarter comebacks is not a stat because he did that as a team too, correct? So that means the coach had 8 comebacks.
The Stafford has 8 comebacks. It's an indicator that the
It's an
quarterback.
indicator there.
Listen from a. That's an indicator that the quarterback had to throw in those situations to get the team in a position to win the game. In other words, he was forced into a position that he should not have to be in. You talk about Jim Caldwell in their last playoff game. Hold on, wait a minute, hold on. In their last playoff game, Matthew Stafford threw the ball 43 times. They ran it 10 times for 32 yards. New Orleans ran the ball 36 times for 167. Every time you try to get away from the point of he should have won, the only thing that I keep hearing is the people who are winning with a rushing attack. It's not the quarterback. There's a misconception with people.
But does Drew Brees have the same arm strength as Matthew Stafford? And then let's go back to
we're not talking arm strength. We're talking about why Stafford should have won a playoff game.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you. You saying basically off your logic is you saying you can't be one dimensional to win a playoff game, but we're just talking about teams that are winning. We just talked about the Tennessee Titans who were winning playoff games and winning them very good one dimensionally.
They wasn't one-dimensional. They ran the ball. No, they wasn't. They ran the ball. That was the focal point of their game, to run the ball. But the quarterback was asked to do very minimum, and that's why they won. He made the passes that he needed to make for them to keep going. The same thing happens when you go through the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott is not the guy to be the focal point for the Dallas Cowboys. It's Ezekiel Elliott. But Dak Prescott makes the throws that need to be made so they can do it, and they keep running the ball. Running the ball brings you success. If you go through every playoff game for the last 5 years, you will notice that all those teams who win run the ball. Hell, Tom Brady, his first season with Bill Belichick, beat the greatest show on turf because they ran the ball, played defense, and had Tom Brady throw the ball minimum.
So for that argument, we got to literally look up every playoff game. You said what in the last 5 years? In that argument, because I just don't see it. I just don't see that. I don't see how you can have the strongest arm, the best wide receiver in the game, and then you can have Golden Tate, the Yak King, and you still can't even win a playoff game.
Golden Tate said it himself that Matthew Stafford's the best quarterback he ever played with.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Ask Golden Tate this. What's the best quarterback that he won with? He won a Super Bowl with the best
Matthew
quarterback.
Stafford.
He didn't win anything with Matthew Stafford.
He said Matthew Stafford. Listen, you want me to ask Golden Tate a question that he already answered for you. He said Matthew Stafford.
He never.
So wait, hold on. So now you're gonna tell me that Golden Tate's lying? No. Now you know Golden Tate's lying. I'm because it's a troll. Because if you look at his career, he started out where in Seattle. He won a Super Bowl with Seattle. That's the best quarterback. That's the most winning quarterback that he didn't play with. Stafford might have got him the stats and the yardage that he liked to have, but the best winning quarterback that he's played with was Russell Wilson. That's regardless if he wants to troll and be honest because he feels still a little salty that Seattle got him up out of there. But the best quarterback that he didn't play with is Russell Wilson. You realize, hold on. You realize you're talking about a quarterback should have been to win a playoff game. This is the same organization who hired a coach who told Joey Harrington not to change his audibles. This is the same organization who has had multiple head coaches, by the way, where only one of them have former NFL experience. This is the same organization that has hired or 9 general managers and only one has had previous general manager experience. It's the same organization who can't seem to get out their own way. We're talking about Matthew Stafford winning a playoff game,
I'm glad
but
you
we're
said
not
that
going to talk
because
about the fact that everything else around him is in shambles. Name me
I'm
the
glad you
player
said
who
that
comes to a
because
team that was 0-16 and wins.
I'm glad you said that because this is also the same organization that pays Matthew Stafford anything he wants, that doesn't hold Matthew Stafford doesn't hold him accountable for anything that he does, doesn't hold him accountable for losing games, doesn't hold him accountable for anything pretty much that he does, pretty much gets away with anything that he wants to. I remember you know what? This is how I know Matthew Stafford literally can do anything in this organization and they're fine with it. When they fired Jim Caldwell, Jim Bob Cooter should have been right out the door with him. Matthew Stafford came out, banged his hand on the desk. Oh, I want Jim Bob Cooter. That's who I want to be my offensive coordinator. Why? Because Jim Bob Cooter was pretty much letting him throw the ball how he wanted, up and down the field. Then he comes out the first night. What does he do? He throws 4 interceptions to a quarterback that's a rookie who sees ghosts. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Let me ask you a
Come
question.
on, man.
Let me ask you a question. If this was
Ask
basketball,
me a question.
if
Ask me
this
a
was
question.
basketball, I'll be all with you. But let me ask you a question. If that what you say, we're gonna take everything you say as face value, right? Isn't it still the job of the head coach to right that ship?
To write which shit?
Isn't it the job of the head coach to right that ship? In other words, meaning that the head coach job is to make sure that whatever it is that's happening that on this team that's not going the way that it should be, the head coach should be the one to make sure that stuff is getting in order. So it should be the head coach job to do it. All I'm pointing out to you is this, okay? And then we're gonna turn it over to him. I'll give you your closing statements right here, okay? In your closing statements, I'll let you finish. Give me your closing statements as to definitively why Stafford should have won a playoff game by now.
11 years in the league, strongest arm in the game for I don't know how many years. Played with the best wide receiver, damn near of all time. Yeah, you had a couple bad coaches, but Jim Caldwell wasn't a bad coach. You had a coach that came in and tried to teach you a working offense. You couldn't learn it, and you just haven't produced. You haven't stepped up in big games. Um, he just hasn't gotten it done. And I mean, I'm not gonna just because he's had the most yards of any Detroit Lions quarterback ever. That's a Detroit problem. That's not a league problem. It's a Detroit Lions problem. So I'm not gonna give him any slack because he hasn't won. He just hasn't gotten it done. If you're the number 1 overall pick, then you should have the talent to change an organization, and he just doesn't have it. After 11, 12 years, you just don't have it. If you get picked number 1 overall, wouldn't y'all think that you should have the talent to change an organization? He just hasn't done it. He can't do it.
Okay. All right. Here's my final thoughts on why he should not have won a playoff game yet. If you go through the history of the playoffs, the teams who are winning are not one-dimensional. They're very balanced. They're very even keel in how they go about doing things, and they generally lead in rushing. When you go through and you look at Matthew Stafford, he joined a team that was 0-16. Okay. And in that time, from the time that he joined that team, he has had 100-yard rusher only 12 times, and it's 10-2. One of the losses that he got came from the Kansas City Chiefs, where they had 3 turnovers. The second loss that he got came against the Tennessee Titans, where the kicker missed a simple 25-yard field goal. But okay, on top of all that, I'll even make the point that even with the receiver that they had, because you've seen some good quarterbacks with some great receivers not get it done, like Ben Roethlisberger and a host of others I can name, including Russell. Wait a minute. I didn't interrupt you. I'll let you have your final thought. I didn't interrupt you. I'll let you have your final thought. You go down to Russell Wilson. If you go through every quarterback that you named, they all had a legitimate threat at running back that you had to put some respect on their name. Russell Wilson had Marshawn Lynch. You think people weren't trying to slow down Marshawn Lynch? You go through and look at Patrick Mahomes. He had Kareem Hunt. Then they added him LaShawn McCoy, rather it be an age from LaShawn McCoy. They added him, and then they still gave the ball to Damian Williams. And now they just gave him another running back, which is making me wonder, why would they give him another running back if Patrick Mahomes is so great? Because they know what I know, and you got to run the ball to win in the playoffs. This is how it works. So at the end of the day, I'm just saying that the reality of it is this. You can't ask a quarterback to win until you get him a winning culture around him. I can't ask for him to be better when the head coach is not good. I can't ask for him to be better when he's amongst the most sacked people. I can't ask for him to be better when he doesn't have a rushing attack to offset the passing. And until he gets the thing that offset what he's doing and that's getting what these other quarterbacks get, hands down, it's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is our debate. We'll leave it up to you to pick the winner. Hashtag cool, hashtag Luke on who you think won, and we will add it up as cool as it gets, man. I appreciate you for coming on, man, because this is fun, and I like having conversations with people, whether we agree to agree or agree to disagree. It's good to have the conversation and do it respectfully. What happened to you, Cool? Did you disappear on me?
Oh no, I'm still here. I just disagree. I mean, you said he had a bad coach. I mean, was Jim Caldwell a bad coach? You kept saying, he had a bad coach. If Jim Caldwell was a bad coach, they would have never got Stafford would have never been as good as he was. He would have never got to the playoffs. So that's untrue for him to have a bad coach in that particular year. So I'm glad that we've got it all out of the open that these are all of the things, because I know that Stafford needs everything to be perfect. Like he has to have the most perfect everything. So I'm glad that this year they went out and got him a running back. They drafted him a running back high. They went out, they drafted guards for him. He got 2 good receivers. They got him another receiver. They drafted him another quarterback. They got a tight end for him last year in the top 10. So I just want to know, what are y'all gonna say if he doesn't win anything this year? He got all that.
The problem is you
say?
named all that stuff, right? You named all that stuff, but the problem is this: at the end of the day, you didn't name coach, and I told you everything. Now we're not talking about a head coach, man. Ain't nobody. I don't hear not one person talking about the offensive coordinator. They talking about Andy Reid, bro. That's who get the credit. That's the win-loss record.
Because Andy Reid is an offensive coach, and this is not Andy Reid's team. Matt Patricia is a defensive coach who doesn't call the plays on offense, though. So are you saying that Darrell Bevell is an incompetent offensive coordinator?
If he listen, I'll tell you like this: if Darrell Bevell don't run the ball this year, you're gonna see much of the same. And for a guy to be a defensive-minded coach and still have the worst defense, but yet we talking about he should be winning playoff games, I find that a little bit ironic.
I'm definitely not saying Matt Patricia. His scheme in coaching, his talent is trash.
Okay, but so with that being said, right there, that statement right there, that proves further that this is the problem with the Lions. All the people who are winning, they're not winning with lame duck BS stuff, man. They're winning with complete teams. The complete teams are the ones winning. He had a complete
team in 2014. He had a great.
No, he didn't. He had the 28 rushing attack. That's not a complete team.
He had the top 3 defense, dude.
He had a top 3 defense. Listen. He had the top 3 defense against the rush. That's different. Now, listen. We already have debated this. I just want to go ahead and let the people vote. They're voting. I'm winning so far in the voting poll. But I know
you're going to win, but I'm saying because Detroit Lions fans are pretty much stupid.
And why are fans stupid? Because listen,
because they don't.
This is how you can win. This is how you can kill this whole thing. Name me the quarterback who won a Super Bowl that did not have a head coach, that did not have a rushing attack, that had a top defense. Name me that quarterback.
Wait, what did you say again?
Name me the quarterback who won in the NFL in the Super Bowl, in the playoffs, and that did not have
about a playoff game. We talking
okay.
About,
listen
about the playoffs.
In the playoffs. Listen, in the
playoff game, man.
In the playoffs.
Playoff game.
Name me the guy in the playoffs the team in the playoffs that did not have a head coach, that did not have a rushing attack. Did somebody put in there really Trent Dilfer? Are you serious? He had Jamal. He had Jamal Lewis. Are you serious?
Jim Caldwell was a good head coach, man. I don't know what you.
If Jim Caldwell was such a good head coach, how come he couldn't beat teams over 500?
Stafford.
He didn't beat no playoff teams in that
Stafford.
4 years. You realize in Jim
Stafford.
Caldwell's four seasons. You realize in Jim Caldwell's 4 seasons, he never had a 100-yard rusher, right?
Stafford, but Stafford didn't. I mean, let me ask you this:
okay,
if you get picked number 1 overall, bro, like this is serious. Like when you get picked number 1 overall, you are you're considered to be a talent. I mean, a organizational
I don't
talent
care where you
changing.
picked.
I'm just saying because now you saying because before you said, well, if a dude comes into a 0-16 team, then that means, but this is the thing.
Right,
If you
but that
pick
don't
number one
got nothing. That don't got
overall,
nothing to do with draft pick positioning.
if
Like
you pick
Russell
number
Wilson
1
was a 3rd
overall,
round pick. Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. You have to be put into a situation that makes sense, and it all starts. All the people you naming, Russell Wilson got a good head coach. Tom Brady got a good head coach. He left a good head coach to go to another good head coach in Tampa Bay. All those people you're naming got good head coaches in rushing attacks.
and I just feel like
You
I
ain't
just
named me
feel like,
one person yet who name me one person who made the playoffs this year that didn't have a head coach with a rushing attack. Name me one.
man, I just feel like you a Stafford. I mean, that's cool. Like you're a Stafford supporter. Like you like Stafford. But I'm saying I hope that I want y'all to save this. YouTube don't delete these videos, do they?
Nah.
I want y'all to save this because I want y'all to look back on this when it's gonna be this time next year, and Stafford gonna have the running game. Even in 2018, his running game wasn't bad. He still couldn't win games.
I guarantee you this. I
He's
guarantee
gonna
you
have
this.
the running game. He got the tight ends. He's got the receivers. Daryl Bevel is a good offensive coordinator. He's a good play caller. He's won a Super Bowl
Yeah.
before. And I guarantee you we'll be in the exact same place that we were last year.
Let me ask you this though. You did all that talking to tell me about Daryl Bevel. You did all that talking to tell me about he got the running backs. You told me about the wide receivers, the tight ends, the offensive line. You told me all that stuff. I ain't hear you say nothing about that defense. Why not? Because you know,
Matt
I know.
Matt
Because
Patricia is
you know,
trash.
I know that head coach and that defense ain't gonna. There we go. See, this is what I'm talking about.
Matt
If you
Patricia's trash. And I'll give you that. I've never been a
okay,
fan of Matt Patricia.
so if Matt Patricia is trash, he's the head coach. Don't say we're gonna be back where we was because of
I'm
Stafford.
saying
That's not gonna work.
If Matt Patricia can somehow, and I know it'll be a long stretch, if he can is somehow at least have a top 15 defense, and Stafford can quote unquote have what is it a run game. He need the best run game in the league.
Then they
He'll
win the
have
division. If what you say happens, they're winning the division.
So I want you to say it one more time because I want the people to hear you say.
Listen,
that
everybody
if
know.
Matt
Everybody
Patricia
know.
can
Luke
somehow,
don't shy away from saying crazy stuff. If they get a top 15 defense, meaning that they are not allowing people to score, they get a top 15 defense and they get a rushing attack. They're winning the division.
Now, just so we can be clear, when you say rushing attack, what do you mean? Because what positional ranking rushing attack are you talking about? Because I need
Stafford has been in the league going on his 11th year.
No, it's his 12th year.
I mean, his 12th year, going on his 12th year. And in this 12th year, he has only had a rushing attack that broke outside the top 20 once at 17.
Right. So
one time.
What ranking number do you feel like he need in order to win a division?
They need to be in the top 10 of rushing.
Oh shit. Top 10? That
top 10 of rushing.
That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen.
Well, listen, unfortunately, here's the thing. Right now, people don't come to Detroit and say, let's stop the run. They come to Detroit and say, stop the pass.
Who said that? Because that's all they do. That's all they do.
Exactly. That's all they do. So if you're one-dimensional and that's all you do, nobody's coming here worried about you running the ball. So they're coming here worried about you throwing the ball. So that's for the proof why he shouldn't have won a game because we're not there.
So you saying, I just want you to know, you saying top 15 defense, and somehow he needs a top 10. He needs a top 10 run game in order to win just the division.
No, what I'm telling you is this: the teams who are winning consistently, they have rushing attacks.
Man,
and
listen,
the reason I'm stay with me. The reason I'm telling you top 10 because I'm tired of them trying to lean on him with throwing the ball repeatedly over and over. They had the man throw the ball 40-something times with a broken finger. That's not acceptable.
Listen, I don't want to hear about any injuries, man. I watched Stafford play a whole. He stunk up a whole season in 2018 because he had a broken back. Instead of just sitting out and being scared that somebody might have came in and won an important game, he stayed in for a whole 2018 season, stunk it up with a broken back. So I don't really want to hear about a finger injury at this point. But what I'm asking you is this: you saying that he needs a top 15 defense, a top 10 run game to win a division. Did I lose you there?
Yo, people, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me, people? There we go. All right. So my children unplugged my internet. All right. Did not realize that they knew. Did not realize that they knew. It makes sense. There's a lot of lights flashing. I'm going to get him back on, man. I want to get him back on so he can give his final thoughts, and then we'll end this. So give me 1 second. Let me get him back on. I'm gonna have to move that internet somewhere else. They saw them lights flash and went, oh yeah. So let me just, son, don't be praising yourself right now. Don't be praising yourself. Again, I hope y'all enjoyed the debate. Let me know what y'all think of the debate. Who won, who lost, who made good points, who made bad points, so forth and so on. I want to give him his chance. I want to give him a chance to give his final thoughts. So I'm going to get him back so he can give his final thoughts and get him back. So hold on 1 second. He should be coming in 1 second. I'm going to send it right back to him. Again, my children unplugged my internet. So let me see if I can get him back on right now. Let me see. All right, so I sent him the link back, so he should be back in here in a minute. Again, people, I want y'all in the chat to tell me something, man. Let me know. Am I crazy for thinking that, a quarterback, you can't ask a quarterback to do something without them having the thing they need around them to do it? And I find it ironic. Now, when Tom Grassi in the building, that's our residential, one of our residential Packer people, but he has one of the biggest, I think you have the biggest Green Bay Packer YouTube out there. So shout out to him. He says that the Lions won't finish last. He's saying that they won't finish last. He didn't say they were going to finish first, but he said they won't finish last. So okay, he's back. So let me let him get his final thoughts in. Hold on. All right, there you go. All right, as cool as it gets. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, give me your final thoughts, man.
Yeah, I don't even remember where we left off at, but pretty much just, yeah. I mean, I'm not a Stafford supporter. I don't think he's a threat. I don't think he's going to win in Detroit. Had I been head of the organization, I would have probably not re-signed him. I would have picked Tua this year. I don't think he's going to be able to win here. Time to cut the loss and move on.
All right, people. Listen, again, as cool as it gets, I love that you was willing to come on and have this debate with me, have this conversation, because I think it does matter. I think it makes a world of a difference to have these conversations and to have different views and to be able to do it respectfully. It was fun debating you. Greg the Egg says, who is Tom Grassi? Tom Grassi, in Tom Grassi's best way, says, nobody. That dude is 100% a comedian. I rock with Tom Grassi. He's cool as all get out, man. Y'all should check out his stuff, especially if you want to know what's going on with the Packers, because you're going to find out stuff real fast on his channel when it comes to those Packers. So you can, always check it out. And plus, he does all type of different parodies and stuff, and it's cool to check him out. Here's the thing, and my final thoughts is this, people. Whether you agree with me or you agree with as cool as it gets, I just want to let y'all know that we appreciate this ability for y'all to come in and hear us have this debate. I know he wanted to have the conversation. I wanted to do it with him as well, and I think it was one that was beyond necessarily needed because he was dead set on proving this. But I'm gonna get him back on. I'm gonna find a way to get him back on. You're gonna come back on at some point in time. At least join the roundtable, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. Like I said,
okay.
This is my major in college, so this is what I go to school for. I'm always doing podcasts, so whatever, if y'all a little light one day, y'all can always hit me up on Twitter and ask me if I'm good, for that day.
Tell them how they find you on Twitter.
Oh yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at 7play, 7 the number PLAW 2 Ys, and you can find me on there, and I'll come on, debate, we can talk or whatever. And even on Twitter, like if y'all go look at my Twitter page, I'm always liking the debate. So it's like, what I'm saying, I'm always liking the debate, but it's never a disrespectful thing. Like as long as you can debate and you can go back and forth with, you know what I'm saying, and keep tact, keep respect. That's how it's supposed to go.
Amen. Amen. Again, people, I do apologize for the brief interruption. If technology don't fail you every time and you got children who are toddlers and running free and learning how to walk, they will. So again, appreciate y'all for coming in. We may do a round 2 or something different. I'm pretty sure he got much more he want to debate me on. Ain't no telling. But I feel confident in what I did today. So again, just appreciate you for coming on again. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I like to end the show on a positive note. I think today's positive quote comes from one of my favorite people. It's somebody that I think don't get as much love as he should. And he really should. And it's Buster Bunny. That's right. Buster Bunny from Tiny Toon Adventures. Yeah, that's what I said. Here's what his quote was. He said, "Fun is not fun unless you are an active participant in it." Man, that's some stuff right there. In other words, you have to actually be in the moment of the fun things to enjoy it. And if you don't, you're going to find yourself on the outs. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave you with this great piece of advice. Don't be no chump. Please do your research. We are out.